Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the show, Sunday Night Live. Here we are again, September 12th. Hope everybody has had a good weekend. It has been a somber weekend for sure, in that we commemorated the 20th anniversary of 9/11. I can't believe it's been 20 years since that shocking and incredible day. I still remember exactly where I was. I was setting up for an afternoon gig in a restaurant at the top of a bank. Basically, it's a skyscraper in the center of London called Canada One, and I was there to play in their restaurant for an afternoon function, and the TVs were on, kind of showing the news channel like they usually did, and it cut straight to the immediate aftermath of the first plane hitting the towers, and we kind of stopped what we were doing, I'll be honest. As did most people. Within a few seconds, they just stopped what they were doing. And everybody was glued to the TV screens. And were quite considerably unable to believe what they were witnessing. I think that goes for pretty much everybody. That was kind of where we were. We couldn't quite believe what we were seeing. And then we saw the second plane hit, and all thoughts of somebody having actually changed the channel and put on some kind of disaster movie immediately disappeared. And we suddenly realized that what we were seeing was real life. It was a real event taking place in real time, and that it was horrific and horrendous. And within about 5 minutes, security for the building basically came into the restaurant and said everybody has to evacuate because we were in the financial district in the center of London, and it became apparent that we could also be a target. And I have to admit, I don't think I have ever packed a drum set, my keyboards, music stands, a full PA, and everything. I don't think I have ever packed all that stuff up faster in my life. We packed everything super fast, shoved everything in, all the flight cases and everything else. We shoved it all into the elevator, and back down we went. We unloaded back into the vans, and we got the heck out of there. And, normally an unload from a show like that would have taken several elevator trips, and it would have taken maybe an hour and a half to get out. We did it in probably about 40 minutes, maybe even less. And then we got home, and we kind of watched the rest of events unfold. It was a momentous occasion. And it was a completely shocking occasion, and pretty much changed everybody's lives. The first thing I did when I got home was I called my family in Chicago, made sure they were okay, called my family in New York and made sure that they were okay, and that they weren't, kind of too close to events and all of that. And it was actually... I think I was really lucky to get through on the phones, because a lot of people in New York and a lot of people around and about the area were trying to call relatives, and probably were finding that it was almost impossible to get through. And yet somehow I managed to get through to my family. I don't quite know how we did that, but we did. And so that's where we were 20 years ago. And the world completely changed from that point on, and not in a good way, to be frankly honest, but I'm going to keep politics out of this, other than to acknowledge the historical implications of the event and kind of what that did for my band and for making music in London and all of that. Because, you know, things became a little bit more complicated, and then we had the financial crash of 2008, and that basically my 15-piece band became a 6-piece band almost overnight. And then venues wouldn't even take a 6-piece band anymore. So it got pretty hard for trying to do gigs, and trying to do gigs the way I like to do gigs with, you know, I like to have a horn section. I like to have a rhythm section that has at least 2 guitars. I like to have, you know, backing vocals that at least have 4 people. And I couldn't have that anymore. And so playing my songs and playing the arrangements that I had written of other people's songs was even harder. But yeah, it was a pretty momentous occasion. We are low on numbers tonight. We've only got about 10 people here, which is a little disappointing because we normally have maybe more like 20, 25, 26, and sometimes over that. So, but I am aware that, you know, it's kind of a memorial weekend for my friends and my viewers and subscribers in the United States. So we might be low on numbers tonight, and if we stay this way, then maybe we'll do a shorter show as a result. But let's go see who is in tonight, and I've got some things to talk about. Other than 9/11, I've got a couple of announcements I want to make, and talk a little bit about kind of where things are going to go from here for this channel a little bit. And then I'm going to take your questions, because some of you have already started posting questions, which is great, and I am going to get to your questions, I promise. So Rich Cresswell is here. First of all, he is one of my newer members of my little mod team. And he said, "Good evening, all that are here early." Very quickly followed by Tony Stringer, who's here as well. And Kev's Crazy Life Podcast. I'm not sure I know who you are, but I'm very glad that you're here. Welcome to the show. And he does have a question, which I am going to get to, Kev. So stick around. I am definitely going to get to your question. You were here earlier, and then we had Marcos over in Brazil is here, and Ken Moss is here as well. Just Bob, one of my other moderators, is here. Ken is a moderator too, so that's 3 moderators. That's great. Thomas over in the Philippines is here as well. And we have Dwayne, and Carl Trudruziak is here as well. Awesome. Glad he's here. James Giannoni. I always get your last name wrong, but I think I might have just nailed it. Billy Morgan is here as well. Mika Han is here, which is great. Glad he's here. And I think that's it. I think we've got everybody, which is cool, I think. Yeah, it looks like I've got everybody. Alrighty, so yeah, we are down very, very low tonight, folks. So, yeah, so we'll keep it a little bit short, maybe, if there's only going to be a few people here. But it kind of depends upon you guys and your questions, and how long answers take. So, to the first things I'm going to talk about is some new content that I'm going to be posting on the channel over the course of the next few days. You're going to see 2 new playlists that are going to be coming up on the channel. One is called, what did I call? What was it called? What's the damn title? Hang on. I hate it when I do this. My brain just goes blank when I don't want it to. So the first playlist is going to be called Practical Music Theory, The Basics. So it's a basic practical music theory series of videos. And then I have a songwriting bunch of videos as well, which is called Riff to Release, Beginner Songwriting. So those 2 playlists are going to be going up in the next few days. And they are courses that I have available to buy as well in my store. But as I have said before, the store is going away. So I decided that I'm going to make these 2 courses available on YouTube for free. So you guys can watch the videos, and a lot of other people can watch the videos as well. And everybody can just have access to these 2 courses for free from this week on. So the difference being is that on YouTube you'll be able to watch the videos, but you won't get the course material, the learning materials that go with it. I can't put those up on YouTube. But if you want the course material, get into my store and buy the course before it goes, would be my advice. You've got about 2 weeks to do that. But yeah, if you're not interested in the learning materials and some of the extra bonus content that goes with the courses, like cheat sheets and stuff like that, and there's some charts and things in there for both courses that you can refer to help you kind of remember this stuff, and to be able to continually go over it and until the basic concepts are ingrained in you as a person and as a musician. So those materials will not be made available on YouTube. They will go away in the next couple of weeks. So if you want those additional materials, then you need to buy the courses. But that's kind of up to you, really. So yeah, you'll need to go to the website. Website is listed down below here. JonnyLipshamStudios.co.uk, and as I say, you've got about a week, maybe 2 weeks before those courses go. And when they're gone, they're gone. They will not be back. So if you want the extra materials, get the courses. If the extra materials don't bother you at all and you just want to watch the videos, they'll be up on YouTube for free forever. So it's up to you what you want to do with regard to that. I've also got some other courses and other playlists that I'm going to be putting up on the channel as well. So, kind of future courses are not going to cost anything. You can just watch the videos and learn. Any additional materials that I decide to provide and create for those courses, you just need to email me, and I can send you what I create. It's kind of up to you guys what you want to do. So that's kind of the new content that is coming over the course of the next couple of weeks. There's a lot of changes happening, which I can't really talk about very much because it's still kind of a work in progress. A small change to how we do things here at Jonny Lipsham Studios is taking place, and it's all pretty exciting. It's all pretty positive. In fact, it's very positive, and it's very exciting, and it makes things a lot easier for me, and it makes it's going to make things a lot easier for you guys too, to be able to consume my stuff and learn and have a lot more content on different subjects. So if you guys are up for that, then that stuff will be coming, and those changes will be coming very, very soon. I'm working with some pretty awesome people to make the changes to my website and make the changes to how we do things here. And it's going to be very, very cool when it's all done. And it's very exciting. I'm really excited about the future, actually, of this channel. And I'm really excited about the future of Jonny Lipsham Studios, this thing that I created, which kind of grew arms and legs. It was only ever meant to be a YouTube channel, to be really honest. That's all it meant to be. And then it kind of grew arms and legs a few years ago, and I started making courses available for people to buy, and I'm kind of pruning, shall we say, is what's going on. We're doing a little bit of pruning, and what happens when you prune? When you prune, it allows for future growth, and that's kind of what we're doing. We are pruning so that we can grow things, and we can make the whole thing just a lot more streamlined and a lot better and a lot easier to manage. So that's kind of where we're going with that. And I wanted to make sure that you guys know about it, because I want you guys to be involved. I want your suggestions, for content that can go up on this channel, and materials that you are interested in. Because this channel is about you. It's not about me. It never has been about me. It was always about reaching out to folks that use Studio One primarily, but not necessarily exclusively. But reaching out to other people that make music and other people that want to learn how to make music. That's really what this is all about. I'm an educator at heart. I am a qualified educator. I have a postgraduate qualification in education, so I have taught in high schools, I've taught in universities, I've taught composition, ear training, music production. I've taught a lot of different things in a lot of different schools and universities across the UK, so I'm extremely qualified as an educator, but it's been in my blood since I was a kid, really, just teaching people things. I love doing it, and so that's really what started this channel in the first place. And then Sunday Night Live was an idea that Jonny actually came up with, and he said, "Look, I'm doing my show most nights." At the time, he was only doing, I think, 2 or 3 nights a week. He said, "Why don't you do one as well?" And I thought it was a great idea. So I started doing one way back in about 2016, 2017. And a lot of you guys that are in the chat here are veterans. You guys have been around since the very beginning when my Sunday Night Live show was pretty awful. And it's a lot better now, and that's thanks to you guys. And it's thanks to the fact that I've moved and I've been able to grow the channel and grow how I do things technically, which is cool. So it's been an exciting journey over the last 5 or 6 years, and the next chapter for this channel and for Jonny Lipsham Studios, the website, is really exciting, and I can't wait to get into it, and I can't wait to start telling you guys a little bit more about what we're doing and a little bit more of the detail of what we're doing. At the moment I can't, and it's killing me that I can't tell you. But yeah, I don't want to give things away until it's ready. You know how it is when you're building something, you're making something, you don't really want to tell somebody, and you don't want people to know about it until it's finished, until it's ready, and then you say, here it is. So that's kind of what I'm doing. So I hope you guys understand, and I'm glad that you guys are all here to see it all happen. So we've got about 20 people here now, so that's much more like it. Much more like it. So now that I've talked for a good wee while, I will get into your questions. So I hope that those announcements are leaving you excited, because I'm excited. It's going to be so cool what is coming up. All right, so there was a question right at the very start, so I'm going to go get that. And it was Kev who asked it. I need to go find it. Let's see if I can... here it is. Kev's Crazy Life podcast. He says, I need to ask a question. Is there a possible way in real time to mix the vocals in Studio One 5 Artist? I haven't figured that out. Or if there is even a way to do it. Okay, so I'm taking from that maybe a few different things, a few different ways to answer this question. And then really you can kind of take your pick from the information I give you that's going to be the most applicable to you. Since you're using Studio One 5 Artist. So there's a lot of different ways in which you can do this in Studio One. whether you're using artist, prime, or professional, you can do this. It depends what you mean by mixing real time. If you mean you want to be able to process your vocal recording as you are recording, yes, you can absolutely do that. It's very easy to do. And there's a couple of ways you can do it. One is a little bit more permanent than the other, and that's the thing you have to bear in mind. So I hope that this addresses your question, Kev, and please do let me know if it does, or if it doesn't quite address your question, because there are several ways in which this can be approached. So the first thing you can do, and this is the more permanent way, so think carefully about this first. I'm going to bring up Studio One in just a second. So let me just get a new song created. All right, so let's go over here to that screen. There we go. So we're now in Studio One. If you guys have got questions, keep typing them in there. I will get to them, and I'll try and get as many done as I can. All right, so when you're in Studio One and you want to create a vocal track, you can press the letter T, and that opens up the name that I last gave a track, which is VO, because I was doing a voiceover for a commercial. Yes, I do those things as well. There you go. Bet you didn't know that. So I'll keep that. I'm happy with that. And I'm not gonna hit the monitor button because I'm using this mic already. And I don't want that doubled effect, because it will just annoy everybody if we do that. So now that I've got this open and I'm monitoring, as you can see, I've got level coming in, so I'm ready to record. Now, if I want to process this as it is in real time, I decide, hey, I want to record through my favorite EQ. The permanent way is if you open up the Inputs tab here, you can see this level here. This is me talking into microphone. This is my interface. These are the inputs on my interface. And this virtual stereo one, you can ignore. You won't have this. But that's me talking into this microphone. So what I can do is I can grab, seeing as we're talking about artists, you might not have any third-party plugins, so I'm not going to assume that you do. Let's go and grab the Pro EQ. And I can drop this on my input over here. And let's say we want some low cut, get rid of some of that low rumble. Maybe we'll get rid of a little bit of 480 or so. I know that's kind of where I have a little bit of an issue personally. Now I tend, here's the thing. A lot of people, you want to DS, right? A lot of vocals you want to DS. In my case, I don't, because I have a very slight lisp, so I don't need to DS. I actually tend to need to add a little bit, so I'm going to add a couple of dB round about, where's my S's? My S's are right about there-ish, right about 6. Right about 6K, that's where my S's live. And then I might do a little bit of a high shelf, just to, give it a little bit of air, and I'll maybe move that along a little bit, just to open up the ultra highs a little bit. And then I'm good to go. But let's just say this is not for a voiceover, but for a vocal recording. And let's say I want to use a compressor to just kind of keep things under control. So I might go for something like a 2-to-1, leave that where it is. I may even go for a slightly faster release. I'll pull this threshold down until I start crossing it. There we go. We're getting a reasonable amount of compression. And we'll close that sucker up there. And then we'll hit record. And now I'm recording, and I'm recording through this EQ and compressor. So what I'm singing or speaking just now is the result of the the audio going through the EQ, through the compressor, through this channel, and it's then being displayed up here in the waveform. So that has compression in it already. The closer I get to the mic, the more you can see that there's compression going on there. See that? The yellow line there? So that is being printed. So all of that I was just saying there was being printed. I can turn those off. Don't need those. But as you can see, all of that was being printed. And if I expand this channel a little bit more, there we go. And maybe if I give this a little bit of data zoom, you can see that it's especially here, it's been a little bit compressed. This is permanent. I now cannot change this. If I decide that I have applied too much compression or I have rolled off too much low end, there's nothing I can do about this now. But I can achieve my sound that I want before I hit the record button, and then it's done. And then I don't need to mix at this point. However, that's one way to do it, but that is kind of more the permanent way to do it. The other way to do it is to close this guy and to bring in those same effects. Go get that Pro EQ again. Yes, I didn't save any of the settings at all, but that's okay. We can just kind of do that a little bit from memory. I think that was around about there. And that was around about there. I think that's more or less where I had it. And then the same again for the compressor. And grab that in there. I can speed that up to about, I think it was around about there. And then we'll pull that back a wee bit. And I can record. But this is not going to be printed. But we'll hear the result. So if I delete that, if I delete this event here, and if I hit record now, I'm now recording, but I'm not recording through these guys. These are going to be processed after the fact. But I can still shape my sound whilst I'm recording. And I can, I can decide kind of where I want things to go. And, there we are. I can now play that. Now, I'm now recording, but I'm not recording through these guys. These are going to be processed after the fact. But I can still shape my sound whilst I'm recording. So there we go. That's kind of recording and shaping your sound as you go. But yes, you can certainly do it via the inputs. That's the most permanent way to do it. So Kev, I hope that kind of answers your question. If it doesn't, please do let me know. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and I'm going to see about that. Do you have a Series 3 digital console? Yes, I do. I do have one of those. Yep, I got one right in front of me. Turn that off. There we go. Yes, I do have a Series 3. I have the Studio Live 32SC, which I've had for just over a year. And before that, I had the original blue Series 3 16, which went back to Personas HQ, and then they sent me the 32SC to replace it, which is cool. Let's go back up and see if I can find any other questions from the top. Marcos says, what kind of diffusers do you like the most for a more natural bright room, and why? I trust your opinions, and tube traps behind monitors independent of the size, a good bet. I don't really have a lot of diffusion in here. I have, at the moment anyway, because this is a brand new build house. So I can't really go crazy with acoustic treatment just yet. Once our house is settled a bit, then we will definitely be going and doing some more serious acoustic treatment in here. Man, I've got an itchy nose. So at the moment, I've just... oh, dear goodness. I knew that was coming. At the moment, what we have here is just some foam panels up on the wall on this side, some foam panels up on this side, and I got some bass traps in the corner that you can't see. And then behind me, there's a couple of panels on the wall. But other than that, I don't really have any acoustic treatment. Time for a bit of this. Good thing I did not have that held over my cup of tea. But yes, I don't really have much in the way of diffusion, but I think this room could use some diffusion. I think probably what I will do when I get to that point is those two panels that are behind me over my shoulder here, I will probably replace those with a diffuser panel that uses some wood blocks. There's a guy in Edinburgh who makes such things, and I can just hang it on the wall like a picture frame, and it's got like all sorts of different types of wood and different heights and shapes and configurations of the wood, and that should break up the sound and stop it bouncing back from the speakers here back off of that wall and back into where I'm sitting here, and that should help quite a lot. But really, for a room of this size, which is kind of nearly 9 foot wide by 11 foot long, for this kind of room, what I need really is to tame a lot of the highs and a lot of the low mids. So really, absorption is what I'm after here, and also the low end. I need to get the low end under control. So I do have bass traps. They're not the best bass traps in the world, so they will get replaced with something a little bit thicker, some thicker material, maybe 5 or 6 inches thick, maybe, in the corners, and that should get the lows under control. And then I'm going to be looking at some thicker broadband panels that will deal with the low mids in particular, and then maybe some thinner foam panels that will deal with the kind of between 2 and 6K kind of area, that in a room of this kind where there's drywall facing each other, that's where a lot of the issues are. So yeah, I will be getting some diffusers, and I have seen some, and there's a company based in Edinburgh, just 20 minutes away from where we are now, who makes them. So Tim Talks Audio is here. He's another one of my moderators, and he also has a fantastic channel of his own. If you have not checked it out, go and check it out straight away after the show. He does his own live stream. I think he does his on Fridays, if I'm not mistaken. For me, his shows are about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. They're a little bit late for me, which is why I'm not always there. But when I'm on holiday, I'll be there at Tim's shows. Trust me, because Tim's content is awesome. So please go check his out. Secret Squirrel says... oh, he's just saying hello. That's cool. He's a little bit late, but that's okay. Not a problem. Okay, I'm just trying to go through and catch questions. Okay, he then says, as I was looking at your site, I was curious about your current courses. Are they video courses or strictly text? Asking due to ADHD/text absorption issues. They are video based. There are some learning materials that go with those. As I said earlier, they will all be going away. The learning materials will be going away, and the videos will be going up on YouTube. So, it's video series, basically, is what they are. But there is some written materials that accompany each of those courses. So, if you're not interested in the written materials, that's fine. Not a problem. You'll be able to gain a lot from the videos without those. That's definitely fine. You can either wait until they go up on YouTube, or you and I can talk, and I can come up with a way that's going to work best for you if you're interested in the content. Marcos says, I really like your show. It's informative, professional, respectful. You're kind answering our questions. Thank you. Appreciate it. That's very kind. Mr. Motion says, is there an opportunity to help beta test? Are you referring to beta testing my future content and future developments with my website? I don't know, actually. I haven't really thought about that. I'll be honest. I will give that a little more thought, and I'll get back to you. Marcus says, your live is one of the most professional. Okay, I've read that one. That's cool. Music Motion says, by the way, for voiceovers or vocals, the Revelator does an awesome job. Yes, it really does. It's a fantastic little mic. Unfortunately, didn't get the chance to test it. But I know people who have worked with it extensively, and it's a great little device. I will most likely be getting one for the Mac over there, because at the moment I'm just using the built-in audio for the Mac, and I would really like to make use of something else. So I'm gonna see if I can get my hands on the Revelator IO24, which would be very cool. Tim says, drag and drop from the input plugins. Yep. And the chat just completely jumped, so I missed the rest of that. Yeah, I know that, Tim, but I just didn't do it. Jonny says, I made it. Did I miss anything? You missed some announcements at the start about changes coming to the channel and some new courses that are going to be going directly up onto YouTube in the next week or so. I'm having to kind of edit and slightly trim the courses a little bit from their current state on the website, so they are more kind of YouTube friendly. But they will be going up. Mr. Motion says, I still don't understand why you say the house has to settle before you attach things to the walls. Because it's a brand new house. This house is literally 2 months old. The build was completed in the last week of June this year. And so brand new houses, they take, when you actually start living in them, your movements in the house make the house settle into the ground. And it means that, the walls might kind of change a little bit. There is definitely movement in the walls, those kind of things. And if I put anything heavy up there, like some heavier duty acoustic treatment panels, whilst the house is still in that process of settling, then cracks could appear in the walls, and that will not be good at all, because then we'll need to get, those fixed and repaired, and that will cost money. So the best thing to do is kind of wait until the house has been lived in for 9 months to a year, and then, the house will have been lived in for a year and should have properly completed its settling process. And once that has happened, then I can start putting those things up on the wall, because, the walls won't be moving anymore. It is just what it is with brand spanking new houses that have only just been built. Because, here our houses are built into foundation trenches. I don't know whether that's the case anywhere else in the world, but certainly that's how we build our houses here. And they have two different frames. There's an inner frame and an outer frame. And the inner frame tends to be wood, but the outer frame is brick and steel. So the two have to kind of move together as one. Otherwise you start getting cracks appearing and that kind of stuff. So that's why they say, we were advised by the developers, don't hang heavy things on the walls. Don't even put picture frames up and that kind of thing. Don't even start putting wallpaper and things like that on the walls. Not because the walls won't tolerate those things, it's just that the walls will still be moving for a few months. Because we're living in the house, we're opening doors, we're closing doors, we're going up and down the stairs. All of those make the house move. So, there's all of that to take into account with a brand new house. So that's what that's all about. Muse Motion says, I'd go with the 1824C. Yes, I have the 1824C as well. Tim, good luck with that. He says, I'm hoping JL will leak some insider knowledge that the 192 will get an update soon. Good luck with getting that information out of me. I have no information to give you, so you're not going to get any. So yeah. And Rich says, if the building shifts any amount, it may need attention. That could involve major or minor building works. Yes, exactly. A lot of hassle with built-in panels. Yes. That is all correct. So I have to wait until I can put stuff up on the walls. If I buy one set of monitors, wooden made, not MDF, better or worse about frequencies, the model I wish was wooden made, make sure you... here's my advice with speakers. Get a good set. Get a good set that are flat in terms of frequencies. They are flat. That's what you want when you're mixing. You don't want speakers that give you a hyped up bass and a hyped up treble like hi-fi speakers generally have. That's what most hi-fi speakers have, is they have a hyped bass and a hyped treble. Why? Because that's what people's ears want to hear. They want to hear a hyped bass and a hyped treble. But when you're mixing, that's not what you want. You want the truth to come out of your speakers. Not something that has already been loaded with EQ changes. You want the music to come to your ears as clear and as flat as possible, so that you can make appropriate EQ moves that are going to translate outside of your room and into different situations. So earbuds, cell phones, car speakers, a tannoy system, an outdoor PA rig. You need your music that you are working on to sound as good on those speaker systems as it does in your studio, sat at the apex of your equilateral triangle between your speakers and your ears, which is why you need to get a set of monitors that are frequency flat. It's really, really important that that's what you get. Now, what I have is the PreSonus RSE5s. They are really, really good for a room this size. They're not too big, they're not too small. If you go for big speakers in a small room, your room is going to be overwhelmed with too much volume. And if your room is not treated, that's not going to be good. So get speakers that are appropriate for the size of room that you're in. These are, as I say, they're 5-inch speakers, right? Now, if my room was another 3 or 4 feet that way and another 2 feet that way, I would maybe go for 7 or 8-inch speakers, because I have a bigger room and I have therefore more space to allow the sound to move. So I've seen people in really, really tiny little box rooms, and they've got like 10-inch speakers, and they're wondering why their mixes have, when they take their mixes out to the car, they have no bass in them whatsoever. And yes, they've acoustically treated and their little box room, and they put their bass traps in the corners of their tiny little box room. But because those speakers are so big, it just totally overwhelms the room, and it makes the acoustic treatment ineffective, to be honest. So yeah, get yourself a good set of speakers that have a flat frequency response, and pretty much with any speaker that you purchase that is for studio use, should come with a frequency spectrum that you can look at, printed out, that you can look at, and you can see the frequency response of those speakers, and you can decide kind of, you know, how flat they are. And also, if you get the chance to demo them. If they'll let you take a set of speakers home so that you can try them out for 30 days before you need to take them back and decide whether you're purchasing them or not, then demo them, try them out, see what they're like in your space. They may or may not work for you. So that's what you need to do. You need to get good speakers that are flat. My opinion. Lowens is here. He says, "Hi, hello all. Sad day my Browns lost." Yeah, I heard about that. Sorry about that, mate. John Lake says, "My tracking room is full of household stuff and boxes. Makes the room nice and dead." Yeah, things like sofas and actually bookshelves. If you've got some bookshelves, stick them at the left and right side of you. Stack them full of as many thick books as you can find, and you'll find that your reflections from the first reflection points don't come back into your ears. They just get absorbed by all the books. So that's a good option. I have to shout out one particular person, and I don't normally single people out here, but I'm going to single this particular person out because I have known him for literally decades. I'm talking about Mike Gibbons. So Mike Gibbons' guitar is here, and Mike and I go back to our teenage years. We both played in the same band together. Mike is a terrific guitar player and composer in his own right. He's played on a couple of my records way back in the mists of time, like last century. Played on a couple of records of mine. But he's a great guitar player. Check him out. And I believe he has a YouTube channel as well, so go and check that out. Because he has some good guitar technique stuff there. And if you happen to be in the UK, you can probably blag some guitar lessons off of him as well, for about £30. I think it is that he's offering those for. He says, "Hello, you beautiful cat." Well, that's very kind, Mike. I'm not sure that I'm necessarily cat-like or necessarily beautiful, but I'm glad you see those things in me. That's very kind. Thank you. Let's see. What else do we have here? Secret Squirrel says, "Do you exclusively teach, or do you also currently produce for clients? If producing clients, do you have standard onboarding process for your clients, questionnaires, etc.?" Great set of questions. I'm happy to run over a little bit tonight, folks. So if you've still got questions that I haven't got to, I will get to them. So do I exclusively teach, or do I currently also produce for clients? I have been a mixing engineer for since about, when would it be that I started? 1998? Yeah, 1998 was kind of when I got my start. And back then I was actually based in a studio in London, and I was an assistant engineer, and I was learning on an SSL, the G console, I think it is, the 4000G console. I think that's the one that I learned on. And they had some computers there, but mostly it was still going down to tape machines. And I didn't really start getting into computers and home recording for myself at home, and setting up my own studio until 2002 was when I kind of started with that. And I started with Cubase because that's what I had used in other studios. I'd used Cubase, and I'd become pretty good with Cubase in other studios during the kind of mid to late 80s. We had Steinberg Pro 24 on an Atari ST as well. Mike Gibbons, you'll remember that because that's what we recorded those first couple of records on. and 4-track. I think we had a little 4-track tape machine as well that we kind of did both. It was a bit of a hybrid setup. But yeah, so I've been doing that for a very, very, very long time, and I do have clients, and I do have some regular clients actually that I do regular work with, and they just keep coming back, and say, hey, I've got a new record, and I've got another bunch of songs. Let's make another record. So I have regular people that I work with. I have maybe about 4 or 5 people that I work with all the time. But I also do a bunch of other things. Like I said, I do a little bit of voiceover work for continuity announcements and stuff like that for Scottish radio and Scottish TV. I do online session work on piano. I do some vocal work as well, as a singer, doing backup vocals, that kind of thing. And I have a fretless bass behind me there because I play fretless bass. I play on a lot of records actually at the moment, playing fretless bass. I want to get one of those electric upright basses. That's kind of my next big purchase, is to get one of those, because there's some songs that I did with fretless bass where I would have preferred to have played some upright bass on. So yeah, that's kind of what I do. And I do production work as well. So it's mostly mixing and session work, as a vocalist, as a instrumentalist. But yeah, I also do some production work with a small little nucleus of clients that keep me happy. I prefer to work with a little core group of people that I work with regularly, and we know each other well, and we can just churn out music at a phenomenal rate, rather than working with lots and lots and lots of clients. I know that there are people like my good friend Matthew Weiss. He works with lots of big name people, and he has lots and lots of clients. I prefer to keep a small nucleus of clients that I work with regularly, all the time. That's what I prefer to do. Do I have a standard onboarding process for my clients? Like questionnaires. I don't really do questionnaires, but I do have a standard contract that every client I work with has to sign. And in fact, we both sign it because it's an agreement. So we both sign it together, hopefully at the same time. But with the pandemic at the moment, it's kind of like you send that back to me, I sign it, and I send it back to you. So you've got a signed copy. But yeah, that's kind of how I work. I have a standard contract that basically lays out the rules and the regulations of working with me. And that means that you pay 50% up front, things like that. And, 50% non-refundable deposit up front, so that, if perchance you don't like the work that I've done, you can bail out. We'll still be friends. There'll be no hard feelings, but I still get at least half the money. Because it's important. I have to pay the mortgage, I have to pay the bills, I have to keep my kids in food and clothes, and they are growing, so lots of clothes are required. I think you understand that. Let's see. Can I send a Zoom link to share? Yes, send that Zoom link to me. I think you might have done that already. For those that want to continue in my good friend Michael's after show Zoom party, I'm going to post that in here, and you'll be all welcome to join that after the show. Mike Gibbons says, we were young and beautiful back in the midst of time. Thank you for your kind words. You're welcome, buddy. No problem at all. I'm glad to talk you up a bit, mate, because you deserve it. Let's see. What else do we have? Mind Your Head. Yes, that was the record that we did. That's right. Yeah. Wow. I remember that record. Do I still have it? I still have the master tapes somewhere. Probably in the garage with everything else that got moved. So I don't know exactly where they are, but yes, I still do have them. I won't embarrass myself with those because, gosh, those songs were awful. Kev says, had to rewind to see what you said because I had to go eat dinner. Kind of sort of answered my question on mixing in real time. Can I add effects also to my voice? Yes, you can. If by effects you mean reverbs, yes, you can. You can set reverbs up in the sends section of your channel over here. So let's go and find something like, let's go and grab analog delay, because analog delay is always fun and entertaining, but I need to record the channel and I'm gonna have to monitor it as well, so otherwise you won't hear the effect. There we go. Let's go. Let's do a bit of this, and I'll increase the cut a bit. And feedback will increase. And there we go. And I'm increasing this time as well. But I can have it like this. And I can also muck about with this as well. This is always fun. That's probably too much. There we go. Something like that. There you go. So yes, you can have, you can totally have reverbs, delays, and all of those kind of things going at the same time. But what you have to do is you have to put the monitor button on, so that you'll be able to hear the effects. So there you go. Hope that helps, Kev. Because that's a lot of fun to be able to do that. But yes, you can do that with delay, you can do that with reverb, you can do that with whatever you want, really. Rich says, what is your favorite instrument, one that you play or would like to learn? Well, I started out as a drummer, as Mike Gibbons will remember, from the band that we both played in, because I played drums in that band. But I started out as a drummer way back in the 1970s, probably in about 1977 or 78, I started playing drums. Because my dad is a drummer, and his dad before him was also a drummer. And so drumming runs in the family. And so it was kind of natural for me to, to kind of take up playing drums, really, because drums were just around all the time. And so I think really the catalyst for me learning to play drums was hearing Steve Gadd's incredible solo on Steely Dan's Asia, way back in 77, I think it was. And it just totally had me hooked listening to that. And then listening to Buddy Rich as well, totally had me completely hooked. And so I started learning by listening to records. I didn't really take any, I had maybe 2 or 3 drum lessons. But other than that, I did not really have any lessons at all. And I've been playing ever since, really. I play every single day. I don't have a drum set in the house here. But I do have some practice pads. And I go through a whole bunch of exercises that I have done every single day for decades, and I just go through those same things every single day, and it just keeps me fresh. And then I've been playing professionally since I was about 18. Yeah, 17, 18, around about that age. But I these days don't play so much drums. I mostly play this guy or the fretless bass out the back there. So either of those are the 2 main things that I do. And I've been singing since I was a kid. I've been in gospel choirs and that kind of thing since I was about 10 or 11 years old. So singing is another thing I love to do. So yeah, so I hope that answers that question. Let's see, is there anything else? I think we're kind of done. Kev says, thank you so much for your time and showing me you're really an awesome person and have a kind heart again. Thank you. Well, you're very welcome. And thank you for the nice, kind words there. That's very kind. Thank you. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you an awful lot. Rich says, Asia is an album like no other. It's in my top 50. There's a lot of good stuff, in my opinion, in that top 50. Yes, Asia is a seminal record in so many ways. Not just the great drums, but the great songwriting, the great arranging, and the production values that Roger Nichols, the recording engineer, brings to that record are outstanding. And then Elliot Shiner is the mix engineer on that record, and he did an outstanding job of the mix. I think it was mixed on a Neve console, if memory serves. I think it was, because it would have, I think it was mostly mixed at Village Recorder, I think. Which I think was, I don't know if it still is, but I think it was in Santa Barbara, California, way back then. But yeah, it's a wonderful record. The performances are outstanding. The recordings are incredible in quality, and the mixing and the production values are outstanding. And it, you know, I think it's a real testament to how good that record is that it's used often in record stores or in hi-fi stores to demonstrate the quality of speakers, because the quality of the fidelity of the production, of the mixing, of the mastering is so high that it really is going to show off the best of the qualities of any set of speakers, to be honest. Secret Squirrel says, if you collab productions with multiple musicians who do not have access to Sphere or PreSonus infrastructure, different DAW preferences, how do you strategize file shares? There's a couple of ways. First of all, you don't have to be a member of PreSonus Sphere to have access to a workspace. So if, for example, you are the person that has the PreSonus Sphere account and you have a workspace, you can invite people that don't have PreSonus accounts to your workspace. The one caveat is that they have to create a free My PreSonus account. But it doesn't cost anything. It's totally free, and then that gives them access to your workspace, and you can file share back and forth that way. So they don't have to be members of PreSonus Sphere as well, but they just need to create the free account. And once they've done that, they have access to your workspace once they've accepted your invitation. And they're good to go. And you can do everything totally inside the workspace. And you can do things that way extremely easily. And there's, you know, things that you can do that you can't necessarily do on other platforms. The other platform I would recommend would be Dropbox. That's a great way to file share and to keep tabs on, you know, everything, because you can keep things organized in folders. But guess what? You can do that already in PreSonus Sphere. You can keep things in folders. The cool thing about PreSonus Sphere is that you can comment on a file. You can listen to an audio file, and you can make a direct comment and say, right, at the 2 minutes and 27 seconds point, there is some kind of hum or buzz in this guitar track. Maybe we need to check out the earthing or the grounding for this particular guitar cabinet or this particular head or whatever it might be. We need to deal with that. Or this phrase here in this guitar solo is great, but the one before it I don't think really necessarily works as well leading into it. But maybe from take 3, we'll use that phrase instead. And you can make all of those comments on, and you know, you can reply to comments that other people have left on this particular audio file. Or if you're, you know, wanting to critique a mix that one of you has done of a song that you're all working on, you can do that. And your non-Personosphere guys who have the free My Personas accounts, they can do that. They can make those kind of comments. They can share files with you back and forth, and it'll just, it'll work seamlessly. So you can certainly do that. But if they don't want to go through having to create My Personas accounts, then they can use Dropbox. But the thing with Dropbox is you still have to kind of make a Dropbox account. So it's the same kind of thing, really. Let's see. I'm going to do one last question. Let's see. Hang on. Would that be like an alternative to exporting stems for the other person to work on? Yes, you can certainly do that with Personosphere, for sure. I have done that. My colleague, my Personas colleague, Lawrence, is a fantastic producer and mix engineer. And he and I have been working back and forth on some orchestral mock-ups. So he sends me some of his things, and then I do some arranging, I do some orchestrations, and I put them back into our shared workspace. And that way we can just toss things back and forth. The other thing I have done as well is I use one of my workspaces for working with clients. And I just give them access to it when they need it, and then I remove their access when they don't need it anymore. So that particular workspace has got a lot of folders in it right now. But what I do, like if somebody needs a piano solo, for example, I just add them to my client workspace, and then they have access to the folder that they need to have access to. And then, I'll do whatever I need to do for their piano solo, and I'll upload it to the workspace, and then they can just go and grab it straight out the workspace and drag it literally using the browser, literally inside of Studio One, straight from the browser, straight into Studio One, seamlessly. The whole thing is seamless. It's fantastic. And it would work perfectly for sending back and forth guitar tracks for somebody. Like let's say I was making another record, which I probably am in the foreseeable future. I'm not going to really talk too much about that because I don't want to spoiler. I don't put spoilers out there. But let's say I decide I want Mike to do a guitar solo on one of the songs, which he's worked on some of my songs before. So I know what he can do. I know what he's capable of. So, and I also like to challenge him a little bit as well by giving him some really complex chord changes to play over. So let's say I do this song and it's got some really nasty complex chord changes, and I say, hey Mike, here you go. You've got like the last third of the song to just play and put your guitar solo on. So I send him a rough mix, and then he does his thing, and he sends me back his guitar track. It's in the workspace. I drag it from the workspace straight into the song. Done. It's right there. And it will work beautifully. And I can listen to his guitar takes and decide which one I want to keep, or I might take a phrase from one and a different phrase from another take, a different phrase from another take, and kind of put them together, comp them together into one perfect Mike Gibbons guitar solo. I can do that. And I can do that with Personosphere perfectly seamlessly. And I can also comment on his little guitar track inside the workspace and say, Mike, this is perfect. I'm going to use that phrase from there. I'm going to use that phrase from here. And I can timestamp each one of them so he knows which phrase I'm talking about. And then that way we can comment back and forth, and he can say, well, actually, you know what? Why don't I just do another take that kind of patchworks those phrases together, and make it a little bit more organic? And I can say, great, go for it, Mike. And then he sends me the track, and then that's it, job done. So that would work. Dwayne says, do you recall the file size limits or total folder size of Personosphere? You get 30 gigs of storage space for free as part of your, well, it's not for free, but it is part of what you pay for your membership of Presonisphere. It's 30 gigs. You can buy an extra 70, which you can pay monthly for or pay annually for as well. That will give you a total of 100 gigs if you want that. So you can certainly, those are your limits really. And if you run out of space, you can just start deleting stuff that you don't use anymore. That's what I do. As soon as a job is finished and I know that, everything's settled and the final mix is done and the master has gone off to distribution, then I know I'm not going to need all of those guitar takes that Mike did. The master take has been comped. It's in the song. It's gone for mastering. I can just delete all of those spare guitar takes. Or maybe I might leave a couple of them because I like to recycle, and I might use those guitar takes in another tune. I have been known to do that. Mike says challenge accepted. Yeah, we'll talk about that, Mike, for sure. I just don't know when I'm going to get a chance to actually get round to recording. But that's not to say I'm not going to do it, because I am. I've got some tunes going around in my head that I definitely want to get recorded. All right, so we're going to call it a night there, because I could keep going on, but I have a very busy day ahead of myself tomorrow in my regular day job for Personas, so I need to get going. But thank you, everybody, for your great questions. You guys are awesome. And I think we peaked at... What did we peak at? We peaked at 32, I think. Yeah, we did. We peaked at 32, and we're down to 17 now. So I think, yeah, it's about time I knocked it off. So thanks, everybody, for coming, and I will see you all on Wednesday for Songwriting Simplified over on the Home Studio Trainer channel, where we'll be discussing all things songwriting, and I'm sure we'll have a topic to talk about, or something of that ilk. And that will be my show that I do with Jonny Guy, for those that don't know. Just to remind you all, if you are up for the after show party on my good friend Mike at Music to Motion on his Zoom call, then go and grab the link, which is a little bit further up in the chat if you've not done so already. You have to go back and find it. And Just Bob has already posted it, so maybe he could post it again at the end of the show. That would be helpful. And I will see you all very soon. Good night. Ow, 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 ow.